Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. I'm really happy to be here with you guys again. Whoever's watching this channel, it's because you need to listen to what I have to say. I listen to a lot of videos, and there's some that I don't even bother with anymore. And it's just, you move on to different things and you just evolve from where you go. Uh, Sometimes I've had questions for myself, and I the answer would just come all on its own because it's it's the energy you put out is what you get back. So there's a lot of way for you to manipulate the ethers, if you will, so you can have a direct connection with your purpose, with your goal, right? Usually a term that goes very well said everywhere, and a lot of people would even take it in offense. But when someone says, "I'm minding my own business," I'm minding my own business. I'm taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of first. Then you can look out for others, or then you can give back, right? For everyone that's out there, I hope this video serves you well, and that me giving back to the whole, to the community, to every other human being out there, then it definitely feels lighter. You feel better about yourself instead of living in a world of, and I can just branch off a little bit with this, but if you believe that there's limited resources on this planet and that there's lack, and there's never enough, then that's the uh, scenario, that's the world that you're going to put yourself into. That's the world that you live in, right? It's what you'll be getting out of your thinking, right? So a lot of you watching are just going to say, "Well, I'm stuck in my old ways. I can't feel like I could change that," and you're just pushing against this huge boulder that you created for yourself, and you're pushing back against something big. And I'd say, don't give up. If you believe that you can continue to do this, then do it. Keep going, and you'll achieve your goals. Hi. So I, all right. I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna give you a personal story, and after the personal story, I am going to then give you a few answers that you're looking for, and I'm gonna try and be the very least ambiguous as I can, because I believe that if too much information goes out, uh, there might be heard by the by some people that don't necessarily want to see the earth progress where it needs to be. So I'm going to try and answer that as quickly as possible. I'm going to get to what's important, and this is one of my, as the story goes, uh, videos that I like to put out, part 4 or 5. I don't know where I am with these, but if you have to watch these again safely, then just do it and entertain yourself, have fun, feel my energy. I know I feel your energy for sure, because it's in your auric field, right? You have an auric field. It projects. Sometimes you feel drawn to people, and some people just repel you because you guys are not on the same path. A lot of my previous videos that I've made have been accurate to me. As far as I can see, they were accurate. There's a lot of things that have to be told about the future, which I believe it's important. But I'm just gonna start real quick here with what I saw and what happened. I can explain this a little bit for you. It's a very personal experience. I think a lot of you have had an experience like this. So there's a little correlation. We can all just agree that there is a process, right, that's happening. But it's very personal, and it's very unique to my own experience, because you're out there, you're living your life, And you know, it's like the story that I've always told myself. I remember thinking, man, I want to have a cup of coffee. I just didn't have coffee grounds, and that must have been maybe within that morning and that afternoon. A friend came over and he had coffee grounds. And it just felt strange how just quickly things manifest. The quicker things manifest for you, you know you're on the right path, right? And you know that you are laser focused on just whatever that goal might be. So we have a goal. It's good to focus on the goal and not and try to hit it on the mark and not be too um, overindulging with how you communicate with the universe, right? So that's one way to do it. At some point you realize, well, I've put out too much. I just have to chill out and wait for things to come my way, and it'll just happen if it needs to happen. So I was driving one afternoon. I was going somewhere, and then a truck uh, went in my lane a little abruptly, but it was close enough that I can see it had uh, a design, and it had some numbers on the back of the truck, and then I saw these numbers there, 7155, and it struck me in a very interesting way because when you're an old soul, um, the soul is inside the body, right? And the body is only just a puppet. So for a brief second, it was just a fraction of a second. You know, I was just brought out of my body, and I saw these numbers in a different way. I kind of saw it like this. So what this is, it's hold on. Sorry about that. Sometimes the TV comes on its own on YouTube. Even if I pause the YouTube video, it'll just come on its own for some reason, and that's interrupted me a few times. So this was the avatar looking at it, right? This vessel when I saw it pull in front of me physically in front of that truck, and then this was more like what the message was behind that. Difficult to explain, I know, but I know some of you will understand what I mean, and I just couldn't stop thinking about this for a second, and then this came to mind, right? Weird, maybe, but it was a little strange. This is what I was able to interpret my on my own based on what I saw, because there's certain things that just stick out of you, like numbers, right? 1111, or you start seeing 33s or 33s or 55, 55, whatever. That stuff kind of comes out of you. It comes out at you, right? And it just, you can't deny it because it'll just happen over and over again. This has only happened once, and it was just a little bit. So, but it was easy to interpret because at some point, the vibrations or your spiritual growth went from 55 to 71%, which was what we experienced together. And it had to manifest itself physically for me. I had to know that because that's what we were focusing on, right? Many years from now, um, humanity, every single human being on the planet will be able to know out of instinct that certain things need to be done in order for the planet to progress. And people are going to move in that direction all on their own. That's going to happen. All right? And it'll start with a small group of people where they will be, directed to go to a certain place. Maybe you want to go to Egypt. Maybe you want to, scuba dive off the coast of India. And there's a little small city that, there was a must have been like what is it now? A volcano eruption, and there was some kind of I'm thinking hurricane, but what I'm meaning to say is earthquake. Uh, you want to go to these places because there's sacred energy in these places. There's everything is captured in the ethers. That's that space that we have in front of us that we can't see, but it holds energy. Like the movie Poltergeist, where they build a city around a cemetery, an ancient cemetery, and then these weird things start to happen there, right? Because that energy is gathered in those that section where people gathered, right? Where you leave your imprint of who you are. All right. So even this morning, I felt some energy. I felt some strong energy. I felt I couldn't quite put it together because it's like anyone's thought. Your thoughts are all over the place, but if you focus, right? If you start to eliminate the things that don't matter, if you start to meditate, if you start to clear your mind, just let that open space even be there for the sake of just being there. But remember that you can do that. So that in the opposite end of that situation, then you can realize when maybe a thought that isn't yours, that is probably your ego, comes in and starts saying things based on your upbringing or based on your programming, how you were raised as a kid, and the kinds of forging that your parents did to you. And your mind can just go in this direction. And I have to correct myself almost every day because of the upbringing that I had, and I was able to overcome that. Right? I no longer am pushing anything up a hill too much, not perfect. But also, I feel like now I just have to control that and keep it at bay, and then be myself. Just be who I'm supposed to be, which is I'm in the road of discovery, just like you are, and probably anyone else that might be listening to this. I hope this is helpful for you. So that was. See, there it goes. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Sorry, but it did it, and I wasn't expecting that. So the next thing I'm gonna say is regarding the most important thing I think was easy to say is that I'm not trying to alter the future because it could probably very well might do so, but it's regarding Toth. He he's not on the planet yet, but he has other family members that are on the planet, and what he's saying is he'll be here, uh, and I'm not going to be very honest here when I say this. He'll be here in about 150 years. He'll be able to incarnate in the planet, right? And a lot of things could change from here on out. The way we communicate could change. It could be different, but I'm letting you know because he wanted you to know that. He says you think a lot about him. He says you also, um, that your mind, you kind of bring in an essence of a being or an individual that you might be invested on when you, and I'm using the word think here, but that you constantly think about, right? You bring that to you. So he says, yes, like you're doing the right thing. He's not gonna be here just yet, but he has family members here, and a lot of um, a lot of things are just unraveling, so that we can continue to make the planet a better place. Uh, So with saying that, I guess I can add a few of the things that I'm think that I can elaborate a lot on this. Actually, I choose not to, just because it feels like it's not worth it. It really feels like, um, well, let me just say it. Let me just say it. Okay, he's he's part of a group of individuals that are helping the vibrations on the planet raise enough so that you can separate the wheat from the shaft. The good seed separate from the bad seed. So what you're looking at your politics and your world events and everything here is a lot of the unraveling, right? You're given situations to see if you can forgive, to see if you can help, right? To put yourself in a situation where you have, influence, and how well are you going to use your influence to lead it with an example of good, or the obvious, philanthropy where you've come across an wealth for whatever reason, and then how are you, Philip, how can you give to those that are in need? And it's not just so much giving, but because anyone can say, oh well, the Red Cross needs. I just write them a check and I don't even just put it somewhere. We'll make that money back somehow. Not like that. It's more of your your intent, your second brain, your heart, the seat of your soul, right? Um, how freely do you want to give to others so that you can, uh, and a lot of people don't feel this way, right? But it feels good when you give to others. It does. I like to think that some souls are just, you know, there are new souls being born every day out of experience where I've seen things that you wouldn't believe. But I already gave you the example that I gave you of 71 and the 55% of growth that an individual just happened to have and how that happened, you know? And it's their own personal growth. They're living through their experience. I don't like telling people anything because I feel you have to experience it for yourself. It's good enough that you're reading a book about the Bahamas. Another thing is when you're there and you're like, okay, I gotta, I'm experiencing it now, and I can agree with what the book has to say. Then you can become in agreement. Otherwise, it's just using your imagination. Okay. So I am hesitant to talk about my own personal experiences that you may not have. But I've also watched videos and seen interviews where I'm just like, you know what, I don't believe it, but I have to listen with an open mind. Okay, that's my take on everything, and we'll get there to where you're listening with your open mind. Now let's go on to a dream I had. This dream, it wasn't a dream. It was the first time I saw myself flying, and I've been going through some situations right now, in the last week where I felt, the weight of the world on my shoulders, so to speak. Like sometimes things don't go right for you, and that happens to. One second.